Hey Dashers, this is John back with a new video to share some more strategies in order for you to make more money. And this information I will share can stand alone, but I encourage you to check out my other tutorials since they include many tips which won't be covered in this video. Each video is around 15 minutes long and I'm sure you'll pick up some good tricks. Now I have one housekeeping item. I'll refer to the DND list moving forward in this tutorial. This refers to the Do Not Deliver restaurant list. These are restaurants you want to avoid. So let's jump right in. Alright, first of all, I want to talk about time. Now time is our most valuable asset. We can't get back the time that is burned by various situations that arise in our delivery day. Time is money. You need to be as efficient as possible in order to complete as many deliveries as you can in a given time frame. You're going to work for 8 hours a day, then you need to make sure you're cramming in as many deliveries as you can in that 8-hour time frame. Well, if you have a dollar goal each day, let's say $100 per day, burning time will force you to work more hours. So either way, it pays to be efficient. Now, after an examination of my deliveries, I discovered a few things. First, you need to limit your deliveries to a shorter distance. In general, I don't take a delivery that is over 5 miles total. Most of the time, these deliveries are anywhere from $7 to $8 per delivery. Now, why do I try and limit my miles? Well, let's just look at the numbers then. Let's say in delivery A, you're doing a 5-mile delivery which earns about $8. In delivery B, you're doing a 15-mile delivery which earns $10. Now at first glance, it would seem that the $10 delivery is better, right? But let's do the math. Let's say we do 3 deliveries which are about 5 miles each. These will add up to a total of $24. Yet you have driven the same total distance as delivery B. So when you run the numbers, you make 140% more money by taking the shorter deliveries. But it doesn't stop there. You have to realize that if you're going 15 miles, you're probably going out of your general delivery area. Eventually, you'll have to turn around and go back. So this has added an extra 15 miles to your delivery. 15 miles going there and 15 miles back. Those miles will add up over time in higher gas costs. Now, of course, I realize there are several variables which could change this situation. But what I'm trying to do is simply give you some food for thought. Now, it's also important that you find a delivery area which has a lot of active volume. You know, in the stock market, it takes activity or volume to make the price of a stock move. In the DoorDashing world, you need to have an active delivery area, probably one that has 2 or more cities in close proximity to one another. This scenario will provide the most opportunities for continuous activity. Now, the best scenario is when you finish one delivery and immediately get assigned a new one. If you have to wait 20 minutes or more for a new delivery, you probably need to try a different delivery area. Now, sure, sometimes it's just a slow shift. Yeah, that happens. But you know, a few times I've found that it's the app that is having some sort of technical difficulty. This type of glitch has happened to me more than once. Sometimes the app just has some technical difficulties. I'm not sure why. So I either restart the app, or I sign out, sign back in. Sometimes I'll turn off the phone and then try and do a combination of all of these. Now I wanted to talk to you a little bit about reassigning deliveries. Now you can't be afraid to reassign deliveries. You know, it's just part of the job. If you're a day trader in the stock market, every now and then you'll make a losing trade. You can't think that you're going to have winning trades every day. This is also true out there in the dashing world. You need to evaluate each delivery to see if that particular delivery is going to burn too much time. So how do you know when you need to reassign a delivery? Well, I mean, if you walk into a restaurant and see that there are 3 dashers standing there, looking pretty frustrated, sitting near the hostess stand, and one of them says he's been waiting there for 20 minutes, Well, that is definitely a time where you reassign your delivery. It is clear that there's a problem at this restaurant. Now, perhaps it's a short-term problem, but you don't need to know the reason because it's still burning time. Either they don't have their takeout system down to a science yet, or perhaps they're missing a key employee that night. Either way, it is inefficient at this moment, and inefficiency burns time. These are the types of things you need to keep a lookout for, because if this happens, and especially more than once, you'll want to put them on your D&D list. Now, there comes a certain point in time that you are not allowed to auto-unassign. I haven't calculated the time from the moment you hit the button to accept the delivery to the point where the app won't let you auto-assign it anymore. But either way, it sucks. Now, you have to choose what you want to do, since both alternatives are going to burn time. You can wait at the restaurant and hope that by some miracle they get their act together and prepare your order. Or 2, you can get on chat and ask to be unassigned. This can be a challenge in and of itself. Sometimes you get a person who asks you 20 questions, burning more time. I understand that they want to find out the reason, but they don't understand the fact that that's not important. It's clear that most of these guys at the other end of the chat have never been in the field. They have no clue that time is money to us. Sometimes I'll lie if I sense it's going to take too long. I'll say I have a family emergency or something to that effect. Now, I don't like to lie, but I also don't like to burn time. I have a daily goal I need to hit each day, and this person is keeping me from hitting my goal. Now, if this restaurant was on your D&D list, then the situation is your fault. Let's say you have burned 30 minutes either waiting for the food or arguing, perhaps politely, with the person on the chat. Either way, you've burned 30 minutes. Now, if this happens 5 times a month, that is 2.5 hours of delivery time that has evaporated. So do the math. Multiply your average pay per hour times 2.5 to see how much money you've lost, either due to the inefficient restaurant or the chat person moving at a snail's pace. And yes, it is a process. It will take some time to determine which restaurants need to be on the D&D list. So let's look at a little bit more closely at this D&D list. When it comes to restaurants on the platform, there's everything from soup to nuts. Some restaurants have been on the platform for a while, and they understand the process. Other restaurants have just come online, and they're still trying to work out the kinks in their takeout order system. And then there's everyone in between. It is vital that you only work with those restaurants that have their takeout service down to a fine art. One of the best restaurants I've seen with excellent takeout service is Urban Plates. There is this one location in my delivery area which actually have their own assigned takeout employee. It's normally a young lady, and she has all of the orders ready to go when you walk in. If it is not ready, she gives you a time frame when your order will be ready. She knows the customer's name, and she even knows your name. It's really a joy to deliver for them. I have never had to go in there and wait more than 5 minutes for my order. Now, Urban Plates gets it, yet there are many out there, many of these restaurants that just don't get it. And you know the ones I'm talking about. They don't understand that we don't have the time to wait around for 20 minutes for them to realize that they haven't even started to prepare the order. Now, this type of restaurant is the one that goes to the top of my D&D list. I remember this one particular restaurant, Freebird's World Burrito. One time I went in and waited 30 minutes to get one burrito. It was like they just hired their staff a few days before and none of them were trained properly. They kept looking at each other wondering how they're supposed to do their jobs. It was pathetic. And they were only making a burrito. So I put them on my D&D list immediately. And then a couple weeks later I decided to take a delivery from them since I was close to the restaurant. It was not a risk since I could always auto-assign if I needed to. They were ready when I walked in. They had gotten their act together and processed the order in a timely manner. So I simply mention this because a restaurant does not need to be on the D&D list forever. But until they get efficient, don't go near them. Now, picking deliveries. The best drop-off is when I deliver to a residence. It's so nice to simply pull up your car, hop out, and knock on the door. They open the door within a minute, and you hand them their food, and you're on your way. Sometimes it's even faster if they ask you to leave the package on the doorstep. Yet there are times you get stuck with a delivery to an apartment complex or one of those gated communities. These are deliveries that have the potential to burn a lot of time. You should try and avoid these unless you are making more money, in general, on that particular delivery. One way I try to filter out this type of scenario is to keep track of the deliveries. If you find that a particular type of delivery, say from an Indian restaurant, always seems to end up at the same place with security codes, etc., you can simply add that restaurant to the D&D list. Sometimes these people provide a security code to get into the complex. Either it's a code that you need to get into the building or a code you need to drive into the parking lot and then find the building, or both. Now these deliveries burn time. If you can limit your exposure to these type of situations, then you're going to be more efficient. And finally, I just wanted to mention about gas. I have discussed this in other tutorials, but it bears repeating. As Dashers, we have certain fixed costs, and one of them is fuel. You need to be finding the cheapest gas in your delivery area. I would never buy gas in the more upscale neighborhoods of your delivery area. You have to make sure you find the cheapest gas around and make a note of it. Do not go near the big brand name stations, Exxon, Mobil, Shell, etc. Find the little mom and pop mini marts, because gas is gas. I have a list of all the different gas stations and their addresses in a notebook that I bring with me all the time. Depending on what town or what delivery area, I know all the cheapest gas stations in that area. Sometimes the cheapest gas is on the way to your delivery area. So check out my other tutorials to see how I work the math to show you how much money you save over time by just getting a gallon of gas 30 cents cheaper than the prevailing prices. By the way, I was down in South Florida recently, and gas is only $2.09 down in South Florida. I'm totally serious. Well, that's all I have for now. Please respond below with any comments you may have, and good luck dashing.